Okay, so by now you've printed some of these. And what I want to do now is show you a couple of things that I put into the design to bother you a little bit. Alright, so one of the things is you'll notice that the joints are kind of loose on the disc, but they're not going to be loose here. Okay? And let me show you why that is. So when you printed it out, you printed it out flat like this, right? And when you print it out like that, the heat melts the ABS plastic, and it kind of leaves a little rim that looks a little bit like this. Okay, and it goes all the way around the form. So that's what makes it tighter in that area to go into the hole. So you'd have to sand that off. Another thing is, you might want these to be a little bit tighter fit inside the form. So in the original design, let's go all the way back a little bit. In the original design, this one right here, you'll see that there's quite a gap here. Well, when you printed this one, it printed up in the air, and there's nothing that can happen to expand the plastic. Okay? So in this case, you could have it less of a gap in that area. So when you design something, as far as like the motion stuff is concerned, I've learned a really hard lesson is that, you know, especially with ABS plastic, there's some strange things that happen when you print with that stuff. Probably with PLA too, but here in the design, I only have to change this piece, not these pieces, only this piece. So this is my key motion piece or whatever. It allows me to change it without having to go back and change the whole initial design. And what I do is, like, I'll take the original print, put it together, and look at the gap that's happening in between the two forms. I'll push it to the side, look at the gap, and the gap is like 2.34 millimeters. Okay. So since I know the gap now, I'll just do one of these numbers. Origin to geometry, snap, cursor to selected. Okay, so that puts it in the area, and I'll get a cube, and 2.34, I think it's 1.17, somewhere around there. So you divide that in half. And there we go. And how I did that so fast is I went 3 on the number pad and then 1 on the number pad, and it zoomed right into that area. So there we go. It needs to come up that much in order to take the place of that gap on both sides. So what I could do here is there's a nifty command that I have only found in Blender. I wish they had this in Maya. You select your faces, like a face right here, and then you go select linked flat faces. Isn't that amazing? I love that. And then you can raise this up. Now, what I would do though is hit extrude, Control E, and then raise it up. That way you're not raising any of these other vertices. Control E. So there we go. We've added some to the form. I didn't have to change any of the other pieces, just that one. And I can export that as a still. That's the one joint. That will automatically update this one too, because remember, the key fits in there too. And if I want to, it would even, no, it wouldn't go so far as to change this one over here because it's a different key. So mesh, snap, cursor to selected. Now, is the gap the same here? Well, let's look at my initial form, initial design. So over here, I got that still hanging out. And I'll take that little cube I made, it's way the heck over here. And I'll just put it right up next to that form. So no gap. Again, I could do both these at the same time. I'll go select link flat faces, Control E, then jump into a camera, hit W on the keyboard, and I got to raise this up. Of course, the transform is over on the other side, but that's okay. Get it pretty close. Yep, right on. Also, you could check things like this, how this one's floating. It's a great way to see if everything's at 0. Here's how to fix one of those. Select all using L, then vertices separate selection. Grab a face, mesh, snap, cursor to selected, object, transform origin to 3D cursor, and then put it at 0. You're also going to have to print these out with support material, because when we cut them this way. And see this area right here? It would need support material. Now if you cut them the other way, you wouldn't have to have support material. So those are just tiny little things that you gotta kind of look at when you're designing for this stuff. Hopefully you ran into all those problems during the print though, and you didn't cheat and watch this video, because I think that's where students really learn, is when they get it in their hand, they're like, oh, yes, exactly. Oh. So I hope you enjoyed the Fixie Up video, which I'll label just something odd so you don't think that it's the answers to everything. Let's go on to the next video.